says, no place was found for them anymore in heaven. Here is the deal. Why is that? Why would I need to know that God kicked Satan out of heaven? Why is that significant?
Because God is holy. He's not going to put up with foolishness. He ain't going to put up with the foolishness.
Yes. And he's not going to put up with rebellion.
Amen.
That, we don't call it that a lot of times when we talk about the great battle in heaven, but that's what it was. It was Satan rebelling against God. Do you know that every time that we go after our own way and we want to do our own stuff and we start walking in our humanness, we are rebelling against God? Every time. That's the steer. If God told Satan, get out because of your rebelliousness, he said, my judgment starts with the church. Now let's really think about that. Those of you who have children, you know, I know at least one of y'all have told your child, I don't care what they do in their house. We don't do that here. Okay? We don't do that. That's what God is saying. It's true. My mom has told me that when I was little. She would say, baby, you done lost your mind. We don't do that in this house. That's what God tells us. When he's kicking our butt for poor choices, he's saying, I will not put up with your rebellious nature. We're in a state of being right now where the whole world is being rebellious. They don't want to be told no. They don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to be told what's wrong. They don't want to be given rules. The whole world is being rebellious. Well, Revelations 12, 8-9 just told us what happens to rebelliousness. God kicked Satan and his whole crew out of heaven because of rebelliousness. That's the seriousness of rebelliousness. How does rebellion hinder our fight? I'm going to ask you guys again. How does rebellion hinder our fight?
I don't know for sure. I think our flesh get in the way.
Yes.
Our attitude.
Yes.
And our negative thoughts concerning the issue, whatever it may
And
be
God
at that
can't
moment,
deal
gets
in
the
mess.
way.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Both of you are right. Carol said God can't deal in mess, and Miss Vicky said that our flesh gets in the way. Both of you are absolutely right.
And then if we're being rebellious, do we even know that we're even in a battle?
Yes, I think sometimes we do. But
Okay.
you know, sometimes we get to that point where we just say, well, this is just me. Look.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's even worse than the actual rebellion, because what does my sister Carol always say? What is that? Come on. Talk to me. What is it?
Pride.
Come on. Yes.
I knew she was going to say.
So that means that not only are we being rebellious, but now we're being two things that God is like, I hate.
Pride.
I hate prideful people, and I hate rebelliousness.
Yeah.
God hates pride.
So that means that I'm already working from a place of failing when I'm walking in those two things. Because how can I use the weapons that God gives me when I'm hindered already by my rebelliousness and my pride? Right? So then it says, no place was found for them anymore in heaven. The great dragon was thrown down, the old serpent, he who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. Please, y'all, underline the deceiver of the whole world, not part of the world, not some of the world, not a few of the world, not a corner of the world, the whole entire world, right? Then it says he was thrown down to the earth and his angels were thrown down with him. Why is it important? I would say necessary for us to know that Satan is the deceiver of the whole wide world. Why is that essential? That as we put on our armor to fight, that we know that.
We're not in this alone.
We're not in it alone, but there's a reason why
We not being picked on individuals.
Say that one more time.
I said we're not being picked on as individuals.
We are being picked on. You're right about that. It's not just us. He does pick on us individually, but he's also picking on us as a whole, as a world. But why is it important for us to understand that Satan is a deceiver of the entire world?
I was thinking, like, you know how people get that false sense of security because they'll be like, oh, this place is safe because there's not a lot of crime. But I'm thinking, because if it's the whole world, there's no place you're going to go where Satan can't get to you.
Yes. And that means that he's attacking Christians, non-Christians, and those poor people that think that they just sitting on the fence trying to figure out which way they're going to go. Right? I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. If you are not with Christ, you have not made a decision to follow him, by default, you are with Satan. There is no such thing as middle ground or a gray place, or I'm going to just sit here until I can figure it out. There is no place like that. Right? So when I see that God refers to Satan as a deceiver of the whole world, that means that all of the things that I see about the world is being deceived by Satan. When I turn on the news and I hear people telling me that, no, God is wrong. I was born this way. This is the way I'm supposed to be. That's Satan. Guess what? Deceiving the whole wide world. When I hear people make comments like, oh no, every white people on the planet is a racist. That's Satan deceiving the entire world. When I hear people say things and do things that contradict the word of God, I know that is Satan deceiving the world. He takes the things of God and turn them into something distorted, something unrecognizable. I will give you case in point, sex. God designed, made, created, and gave us sex as a gift, right? Satan comes along and makes sex a recreational sport. He comes along and says, oh, you don't have to be in love with the person. You don't have to be married to the person. Just do your thing. So he's taken something that God said was sacred. I gave this to you as a gift. And he took it and distorted it. Why? Because he deceived the entire world. Let's take women. We were given to Adam, which is the man, as a gift. We are God's gift to man. You have men that abuse women, beat women, cheat on women, treat them like trash, disregard them, don't honor them. How would you feel if you bought your child this $1 million gift and then they treated it like something from the 99-cent store? How would that make you feel? And yet people do that to women every day, and we are a gift from God. God himself presented us as a gift. Why? Because Satan has distorted the gift that God has given to man, from the way we carry ourselves, the disrespect that we have for ourselves, the poor self-image we have for ourselves, the lack of demanding that we're treated better for ourselves, the pride that we have in ourselves. We have women that walk around just hateful, just filled with just so much animosity. God is like, that's not how I created you. That's not what I meant for you to be. You all are fighting with each other, and I created you to build one. Titus tells us the relationship that we're supposed to have as women. It explains to us how we're supposed to be as sisters. But Satan deceives the world, and through his deception, womanhood is annihilated. We can see examples over and over again of how Satan distorts what God has created. So it's important that as we're fighting, we don't buy into the deceptions that Satan puts before us. And in order for us not to buy into it, we've got to know our word. We've got to get in our word and start saying, okay, so the world is telling me that in order for me to be successful, I got to have a big house, a nice car, and a whole bunch of money in the bank. That's what the world tells me is success. What does God say is success? God says, what good does it do you to gain the whole wide world and lose your soul? So I have to say to myself, I can't buy into the lies, which when we see the word deceive, that's what he's saying. The lies of Satan. Now, just for those of you out in YouTube land, there's nothing wrong with having a nice house, a nice car, and money in the bank. That's not the point. The point is, if that's what you're living for, then there's an issue. But having those things in and of themselves, there is nothing wrong with that. And there's not even anything wrong with having the ambition to have a nice house, a nice car, and money in the bank. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. The problem comes in when that is more important than serving God. Okay, let's go to that last paragraph. It says, remember those repercussions and casualties that we spoke about earlier? Well, every war has them. Remember, we talked about the last time we met, there may be times on the battlefield where we're carried off on a stretcher, but we're not going to stay on that stretcher. There's no such thing as a Christian that's supposed to just say, oh, Lord, I fell and I can't get up. Christians aren't supposed to say that. When we fall, it's so that we can go to Christ. He strengthens us, picks us up, dusts us off, and sends us back out to the battlefield, right? So it says repercussions and casualties that we spoke about earlier. Well, every war has them. In heaven, the repercussions were that Satan was cast out of heaven forever. The casualties were that the angels that were once able to enjoy the physical presence of God 24/7 were now outcast because they lost the battle of trusting God's way instead of Satan's influence. And because of their rebellion, they were cast down with Satan forever, awaiting his same fate to be driven into the abyss in the final battle. The final battle we can read in Revelation 27-10. Okay, here's what picture we want to be thinking of. There are so many things in life that want to draw our hearts away from God. So many. Well, Satan's saying to himself, I'm going to put so much stress in her day, she doesn't have time to think about God at all. All she can think about is what's going on in her day. Okay, Shell, you want to write this last book. You want to get this book written. You keep on asking everybody to pray for you. I'm going to make your phone go out. I'm going to give you computer problems. I'm going to make your husband have to ask you a billion and one questions in a day. Your mama's going to get sick. You're going to have this sister that's going to have a crisis. so that your day is filled with so much foolishness, you don't have time to get God's work done. We have to know that our battles are serious. There is no slap and tickle battles. His purpose is to kill, steal, and destroy. And just because we belong to Christ, I've explained it several times, no, Satan can't take us out of God's hand. He said that. But we cannot be fooled into thinking that he can't cause us to stumble. He can't cause us to stunt our growth. That he can't cause us to suffer while we're here on earth. Why? Because he was cast here. He was cast from heaven to earth. Remember when we said that Satan was standing to wage war with God's creation? Guess who we are? We're God's creation. We're the thing that God created, the thing that he loved the most. And Satan hates us because of that love. He hates us because he knows that God will move heaven and hell just for us. So as we're going through our week this week, and we can know, we don't have to wonder or guess, we know he is going to show up. We know Satan's going to bring his best battle. We already know that. We want to start thinking about this thing. We want to start being real about this thing. You know what, Lord? Give me what I need so he don't win this one. That thing that we all struggle with, that secret sin, all of us got it. We got that sin that we don't want nobody to know about, just the Lord knows. Start praying and ask God to give us the victory over that. Me and Miss Vicky talked the other day. We share some of the same battles. And we both said we're going to be praying about that thing. We need to get deliverance from that thing. We only fail in fighting when we don't fight.